Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. This is Mike Goldenberg with some Karnakut, which is Karn, the great creator, in Titanshift. Now, the deck itself looks like this. It's got the traditional Titanshift core, but with 4 Karn, the great creator in it, which allows the normally terrible Titanshift sideboard to have bullets instead. We'll get into some gameplay right away. This hand is fine. It's got turn 1 search, it's got another ramp spell, some interaction. This hand is actually pretty good. We get to be on the play, so I'm going to lead off. Shock myself here. And suspend search for tomorrow. Turn 1 Eldrazi Temple. This could be Eldrazi Stompy. This could be Thalia Stompy. It's a lot of different things this could be. Either way, I'm just going to continue ramping. Holding at Bolt doesn't do much at the moment. Okay, Ballista on 1s. This is Eldrazi Tron. Chalice on 0 doesn't actually do much here. Okay. Land for turn, so we're at 5 mana, so we can't actually Titan this turn. But we can Titan next turn. One, two, three, four. That'll be 5. Just get a forest here. And I don't really see a reason not to bolt this Ballista here. That's gonna hurt. Okay. I'm just gonna grab another Stomping Ground here. And cast Prime into double Valakut, and I win the game next turn. Okay. Sure. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. So the game is over right now with Scapeshift, but kind of just want to cast another Titan. Okay. I really hate clicking through Scapeshift. What I want to talk about here is normally right now I'd look at my sideboard, and for comparison, let's just jump to my Naya Renegade Shift right here, right? So this is my old Scapeshift list. And if you just look like this, I splashed white here for the power of Renegade Rally or off Bloodbraid Elf to get extra basically secure Tribe Elders, extra fetch lands, and some cute things with Seal of Fire. Now the deck was sweet. It was a nice mid-range version here, but if you just look at the sideboard, take out the white cards. Now traditional Titanshift doesn't have these. They're just kind of stuck. They don't even have Fulminator. They're just kind of stuck with these good but not great sideboard cards. And normally the first thing I do when playing is the first thing I say, okay, I'll side out all my Farseeks, and what am I bringing in? But Karn changes that. So taking out Farseek slows your game plan down. It's a card that doesn't really do much in a lot of matchups because it's just progressing your own game plan, and sometimes you need, if a deck is faster than you need to respond to them. Except I don't really need to change too much here because Karn already gives me access to all these cards. So like if I was going up against, let's say, blue-white control, I'd have to bring a Ballista, which an extra threat, maybe a Thorn, a Spyglass, whatever. But I don't have to bring those in because I already run 4 copies main, which gives a lot of freedom in the sideboard. Scapeshift sideboards are usually not good. In my previous versions, iterations, I ran white just to make the sideboard better. So now what do I want here? I think I just want these green spells, and what is bad? Well, Anger the God seems pretty bad, and Lightning Bolt doesn't seem particularly great. So I think this is going to be a common theme in the sideboarding here. I can just bring in extra threats, right? Like Baloth lines up pretty nicely against Thought-Knot-Seer. The life gain works pretty well against Reality Smasher. Beast Within hits their lands, hits their cards, hits any of their threats, and Tireless Tracker is just an extra way to win the game. What am I bringing out? I'm bringing out cards that don't do much, Anger the Gods, and Lightning Bolts, which are not that great in this matchup. And I still have access to all of these cards here. So let's submit. So we still do not know if this is Eldrazi Tron or Eldrazi Stompy. The Seagate Wreckage makes me think it's Eldrazi Stompy, which is built around like a turn 1 Chalice, which luckily doesn't do too much to us. So this hand's going to go turn 1 Valakut or Stomping Ground, and turn 2 Secure Tribe, turn 3 Baloth. I will keep this hand. Okay, it's Eldrazi Tron. Alright. So Acid Moss is actually a pretty good pickup for us if we can somehow land that. Okay, so they have potential Karn next turn, which would be pretty devastating for us. Yeah, alright. Exile a card from my hand. Sure. We'll go to the Baloth. I only have 1 Acid Moss, so what I want to do next turn is I want to play Tracker or Acid Moss. If I want to play Tracker, I'm not doing anything with this. I'm just going to attack with the Steve. But if I want to play Acid Moss, I want to sack Steve now. I only have 1 Acid Moss, so I think it's fine just to play the Tracker line. I only get punished if I draw exactly Acid Moss right there. Sure. So next turn we'll drop Baloth here. So I'm going to sack Steve, drop Baloth. Okay. I think this game's over. I should have done this before the Ballista, but yeah, this game's just over. Alright, what can I do this game? I really just need to get my Damping Sphere out pretty quick. And there's not much you can do against turn 3 Karn on the draw. Alright, this hand's much better. It's more proactive in terms of my own game plan. I get to go turn 1 Search, and then kind of lead into, this would be a turn 5 Titan. If I draw one more ramp spell, it'll be a turn 4, which is much better What I'm really looking for is some Karns, but they haven't been nice enough to show themselves to me here. Perfect. Let's get a Stomping Ground, pass turn. Next turn we have Baloth. Prime in hand, I think I'm more inclined to run a bunch of mountains out. If I had Scapeshift in hand, I want my forests in play. But I am only 2 colors, so it's pretty easy to have a lot of mountains for both. What can I do here? I can... How do I get 6 mana next turn? I'm pretty much guaranteed it. I could search right now. I could... A lot of different things. So I could suspend a search. Like, play this fetch, suspend a search, and go from there. But I think what I actually want to do is play Valakut, expose it a little bit, and then play my Baloth out. Now I still have 6 mana next turn, with the Valakut already in play for when I slam Primetime down, which is going to be pretty good if they have some sort of threat. Okay, here's a Thought Knot. Yep. Okay, so I want to top deck. If I top deck Scapeshift and they don't block here, I think I'm in pretty good shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can Karn, grab Damping Sphere, which doesn't do much at the moment. I want to protect Karn, I think. So I'm not going to attack with Baloth. I think I'm just going to Karn Lattice, and I can win the game. Actually, I'm going to Karn Damping Sphere, stops a Reality Smasher, and then I can Karn Lattice next turn. Okay. Do everything I can to protect Karn here. But yeah, worst case scenario, they drop an Eldrazi Temple and they could Reality Smasher me, and that just effectively kills Karn. Now it does not. And this should be game. Absolutely will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's grab Lattice. I probably should grab Wormcoil there, actually. Yeah, I should grab Wormcoil. Alright, a little bit of a mistake there. Still new. This doesn't actually lock them out of the game yet, because they can still kill Karn. Yeah, they have to attack with both. Don't know why they didn't attack with both. Little saved here, my opponent doing that. Okay. Yep, alright, so they should have attacked with both there. I should have grabbed Wormcoil Engine, but you can see here the strength of what this deck is doing. Let's show it again right here. So a quick little deck tech at the end. Luckily I wasn't punished by my misplay there. What Karn does is provide extra threat density in the deck. You can see here. I'm still working on the Wish package. Thorn of Amethyst seems pretty good if the meta shifts back to some spell-based combo. It's really good against Izzet Phoenix, which I think is really important to be able to stop some Izzet Phoenix. That seems like a interesting matchup here. Now, Karn is also mainboard Blood Moon hate. I don't have actually any way of destroying Blood Moon in my side at all, but I don't really care about Blood Moon. Okay, so you Blood Moon, you stop exactly Scapeshift kill. Not a problem. That's not a problem at all, because now I have Karn, which can get me Wormcoil, can get me Ballista. I can still ramp to a ridiculous number and drop a 4/4 Ballista. I can still just drop a Wormcoil. I can still do a lot of different things. I can drop a... Honestly, Karn can just drop an Ensnaring Bridge, and then a few turns later, or the following turn, fetch a Wormcoil and drop a Wormcoil. Or a Ballista, or whatever it is that I feel like I need. Yeah, Ballista pairs a little bit better with Bridge. I can grab a Lattice, which not only color fixes me under a Blood Moon, and allows me to play Primetime still, which just lets me beat down with my giant 6/6 Tramplers. But there's a lot of different avenues that this deck can take now, and I don't know if the 2 Baloths is the right sideboard package here. Like these here, I think, are very much flex spots. I don't know if I need both Relic and Grafdigger's Cage. I considered a Torpor Orb effect to hate on humans. It does hit my Primetimes and my Baloths, so I'd have to determine a little bit more about that. But there's a lot of different directions this deck can go, and this deck can pretty easily go turn 1 ramp, turn 2 Bolt or another ramp spell, turn 3 Karn, right? And then transition that into very easily a turn 4 Lattice or a turn 4 Prime to try and win the game. So all in all, I think that Titanshift is a very good shell for Karn, simply because the sideboard already wasn't that powerful. Kind of like how Tron is adopted Karn, because the sideboard isn't that powerful. And Karn is also Tron is also dropping a turn 3 Karn and then going from there. So their decks are very similar in that regard. They're both able to drop a turn 3 Karn, and their sideboards were already weak enough where you can easily fit in these slots. And as I mentioned when I was sideboarding in game 2 there, you can kind of note how I don't have to side out my Farseeks every game. I'm still able to keep them in, which just progresses my primary game plan. Normally in sideboard, the first thing I would do is say, huh, Farseek, you're coming out. Like, you'd be like, okay, is Anger good? Anger comes out. But if beyond that, it's basically cutting Farseek, because it's a redundant ramp spell. Now, I don't know. I don't have to cut all of my Farseeks, because I already have, I'm not running a 60. I'm running a 70. There are a couple more artifacts I think I want to look up and find. I'm interested in one that ramps me a little bit. I was thinking of a Sad Robot, a Solemn Simulacrum. I think that's a card that is a little underplayed in Titanshift anyway. It's kind of like a Bloodbraid effect that gets a little bit better, and being able to Karn gift it is just a nice little value piece you can grab, because right now the only value pieces you can be grabbing are these two. I guess I just want a colorless or artifact card that progresses my Titanshift plan normally. So when I'm like, I don't really know what to grab, nothing really works, I have a full hand, so Bridge doesn't do anything. Only 2 colors, so and they're dropping 3-drop threats, so EE doesn't really do much. There's a lot of different things to consider, which I really think is great that this is kind of an unexplored avenue here in Titanshift, which is normally just a pretty linear game plan. Play lands, combo kill your opponent, but now you have access to this great toolbox effect where you can actually shift your game plan a little bit mainboard to say, oh, well, they just had me, they were faster than me, I had the turn 4, they had the turn 3, or I had the turn 5 and they had the turn 4. Now you can say, oh, I'm gonna, instead of prime timing and then maybe dying to my opponent, I can now go, if I have 6 mana, oh, I'm going to Karn Damping Sphere. Oh, I'm going to Karn Sorcerer's Spyglass, stop that Teferi, stop that Karn, stop that Ugin, stop that Devoted Druid. I mean, there's just a lot of different avenues that this deck can take now, where I don't even have Blood Moon hate in the sideboard, because I don't actually care about Blood Moon, because I have this mainboard threat that just is such a clean answer to, oh, I don't actually care about Blood Moon. Oh, I have 6 lands in play, I'll just get a Lattice. I'll just get a Worm Coil, get a Ballista. It doesn't matter. So, there's my quick little, short little deck tech to summarize how this deck pretty much functions. If you want to break it down, everything to its primary components. We're running 27 lands because we want to drop a land every turn for the first 4 turns. We're running 4 Valakutes instead of the traditional 3 because I really like the Titanshift kill line. That is actually how my preferred line over Scapeshift. I just like, okay, drop mountains, ping you, ping you, ping you, and go from there. I'm running the 4 Bolts, 2 Angers, which may not be the best removal package at the moment. Anger's really good against Dredge, Bolt's really good against creature decks and Chase the Mind Sculptor, but they're really bad against Phoenix. So I do want to reconsider this removal package here, but I like the 6 slots. This here is my ramp, Search for Tomorrow, Secure Tribe, Farseek, and Acid Moss. Acid Moss is there to hit Amulet Titan, Manlands, and Tron. It's possible I want to go up to a second one of these, or even put a second one in the sideboard. That's actually a pretty good consideration. But as of right now, I'm really enjoying the full 4 Karns. This here is my threat package with Summoner's Pact, generally getting a Prime Time, occasionally getting a Secure Tribe Elder or a Tracker or a Baloth. And then my Wish package here has Grafdigger's Cage to hit Dredge and Company, Relic of Progenitus to hit any graveyard deck, or if I just need to draw a card. It can work that way too. It also shrinks Tarmogoyfs, stops Snapcaster triggers, and works in a lot of different ways that way. Damping Sphere hits Storm, it can hit Phoenix, it can hit Tron, and it's really good against Amulet Titan. And just having access to 4 copies of that main board I think is really important. An Amulet Titan player might pact for an Azusa and then just play a bunch of bounce lands, and then you can just go, okay, I'm just going to play Karn, minus, grab Damping Sphere, you're dead to your pact on your turn. So having access to that game 1 I think is pretty sweet in a matchup that isn't necessarily favorable for Titanshift. Spyglass just stops a lot of things. I mentioned Devoted Druid, Planeswalkers. It stops a lot of different cards. Thorn of Amethyst I'm not really sold on yet. Again, it's a Phoenix card, but it's probably redundant with the Damping Sphere, so I probably don't actually need access to that, and probably will be looking for another copy of something else, maybe even a 4th Anger of the Gods, or no, a Dismember or something. Mycosynth Lattice works in conjunction with Karn, where activated abilities of artifacts your opponents control can't be activated. This makes everything an artifact, so your opponents can't actually tap their lands for mana. They can't do anything. They can just attack with the creatures they have in play. Engineered Explosives is a nice little board wipe for non-land permanents. You can hit tokens. You can put this up to X=2, which is good against humans, for example. Just having a mini board wipe to stop meddling. They have Meddling Mage on Scapeshift and on Prime Time. Okay, you drop a Karn, you pick up an EE, you put it on 2, and then you can blow up their Meddling Mage and then Scapeshift to win them the following turn. Bridge is also for a matchup like humans, where maybe you don't have a full hand because you've been dumping your hand of lands and ramp, and they can't attack you, which is pretty powerful. It also is actually good in certain spots, like against Amulet Titan. If they're trying to combo kill you with Primetime, you can just drop in the Snaring Bridge and say, well, your 6-power threat can't actually attack me now, can it? Which buys you enough time to Scapeshift them. Worm Coil Engine is just a really nice threat to have. It's also main board burn help, main board any aggressive deck. It's really just kind of like the 5th Primetime, kind of like how Worm Coil was back when it was standard with the Titans. Just being able to Karn for a threat, kind of like playing Summoner's Pact trick with Karn, I think is very valuable. Walking Ballista is holding over from my Amulet Titan shell, and I think it's really valuable here too. It's just an extra threat where, oh, maybe I have the 6 mana for Worm Coil, but I'd rather just make a 3/3 Ballista because it actually stops my opponent from winning the game. I think it's pretty valuable in a deck that can ramp pretty high here. My non-Wish package is 1 Anger of the Gods, which is good against Dredge in any creature-based deck. Beast Within, which I think is a little bit underplayed in Modern. It can hit Tron lands, it can hit Celestial Colonnades, Planeswalkers. It really gets rid of anything that you're actually worried about. Tireless Tracker is a wonderful fill-between threat if somehow they removed all my prime times, and I don't know, I need another way to win the game besides Karn. Tireless Tracker is great, and I can pact for it. Baloth is great in any matchup where I need additional threats, and also I want it to be a little bit weaker, a little bit stronger against discard spells, Liliana the Veil, and Burn. Having access to two Baloths I can side in makes this deck very favorable against Burn decks, because I functionally have 4 copies thanks to Pact. So that was the deck tech and a quick match. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.